We are live. Welcome to the Room Show. And it's your host, Go Room. In today's episode, I got a special guest, Candice. How you doing?
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking time coming on the Room Show.
Of course. I'm so excited to be here.
Nice. So, for the people on my platform that don't know, can you tell them what you do and how
Of
you got started?
course. Of course. So I call myself a storyteller because that's basically what I do. I have a theatrical comedy in which I impersonate all of my family members and I take you on a journey of what it's like growing up in my Italian household. So it just so happens I grew up Italian. I started out in theater. I went to school for theater, did a lot of off Broadway national tours. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with stand up comedy and I sort of bridged the gap of theater and stand up comedy together, very much like in the world of John Leguizamo's one man shows or Whoopi Goldberg's one woman show. That is my inspiration and my love. So I morphed into something I call Italian Bread, which is now coming out on Amazon and Apple TV January 27th. And you can watch that show. It's super fun. I had a great time filming it. I'm also a writer, and I'm constantly writing and working on scripts, which is super fun. I do have a podcast as well, which is also a great medium. So, yeah, that's me.
You got a lot going on. So, comedian, actress, writer, host, known for blending your humor with the heart and truth and powerful storytelling. And your comedy isn't just about laughs, it's about life. It's showing up as your full self.
As best as we can, right? Oh man, every day.
And you said you had a comedy special that is on Apple TV and
Yeah.
Prime.
January 27th, it comes out. You can watch it on Apple TV. You can pre-order it as of this week, which is great. And yeah, and it'll be on Amazon Prime as well.
Good things, good things. You know, so your new comedy special is coming out January 27th. And how do you feel about that? That's a big accomplishment.
Oh, I feel a lot of things. I think all people who work on something and then it's about to be shown to a mass amount of people, it's like the first live show I've ever done. I was like, oh God, how is this going to go? Like, I know I think it's great and I feel great, but I do think there's some energy wrapped around into it that's nerves, anxiousness, excitement. I'm a bit relieved because you're so grateful that this is going to get out there because in this business you just never know. You never know if it's going to see the light of day, and there's so many people that worked hard on the special that I was really happy for them too, or I'm like, oh, see, we did it. So there was a bit of that wrapped in there. So I have a bunch of emotions. I like to say that people have been asking me, they're like, when it's the 27th, what are you gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna hide in my bathroom and just sit there and close my eyes and be like, everyone watch it. Tell me later. I mean, I can't watch myself, so I won't be watching it with anyone.
Are you going to watch it by yourself?
No, I don't think I'll ever watch it because I do think, I know this sounds crazy, but I do think if I stare at myself and see the insane gestures and faces I make while imitating and impersonating people, I think I will never do it again because I'm very critical. So I will sit there and say, oh my God, is that what my face looks like? And I won't. So I was like, I can't watch it because I'll be too judgy and then it'll ruin everything. So I may not watch it. I might listen to it because I do think comedy. I sing in the special as well. Growing up in theater, I wanted to incorporate singing into this as well. So I do sing, and I do believe comedy is like music. It's sort of the same world in the sense that the joke's coming. There's a release, there's a land, and there's a rhythm to it, right? So I might listen to it. I listened to it when we were editing. I had a hard time. I didn't really look, but I listened a lot.
Right. And now that you're in the process of before your special comes out, um, what's like the real emotional journey you went through creating it?
Yeah, I mean, creating it was crazy because I didn't create it overnight. And what I mean by that is I like had the concept close to 10 years ago of what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to get there. So I would do versions, 20-minute sets, 10-minute sets, mainly around New York and Los Angeles, where I was living at the time, in comedy houses, to see if I could even get a laugh out of these characters or the story I wanted to tell. Because the show's built in vignettes of different stories, and these characters move throughout the stories. So that started there. And then it sort of morphed into, let's combine music into this specific story, and that morphed into an off Broadway run of some sort, and then it went into me touring it, and it changed. I mean, the show must have changed thousands of times. There's some core stories that have remained the same, but then there's like all the stuff around it that changed. And then there's new stories each time I get up there. I'm working something new. But the special itself, to me, are my favorite ones out of over the years, that I feel like, all right, this is what I want Italian bread to say. Um, and that to me was really important. But it took a bit. It was not overnight by any means. I love the people that get up and they're like, oh, I have a comedy special, or oh, I have this. And they literally have done it for 2 years. I'm like, God bless you. I was not that person. It took me years to figure out my rhythm. And I'm also just that type of performer. I need to feel like this is mine. And I didn't own that for a while. It took me a bit.
Right. And going on tour, doing shows.
Yeah.
Um, there's a moment in every career where like self-doubt gets loud. What do
Yes.
you say to yourself when that voice shows up?
Oh, we have a nice conversation off stage. It's usually off stage, like in my green room or something right before I'm about to go on this. The biggest self-doubt conversation I think I ever had was right before, it was years ago, right before the opening of my off-Broadway show, because it was the first time that I knew there was going to be repeated amount of audiences, and we were selling really well, but they were going to be staring at me, and I still wasn't sure if what I was doing was working. Like I was like, oh my God. And I had like a big conversation with myself where I was like, okay, if not you to do this, who are going to tell these stories? No one else grew up in your household. No one else knows these people the way you do. So I had to really sit with myself and say, why not you? Why can't you be just as great? And why can't you be just as prosperous and enjoy this ride? So the self-doubt always comes back in. That's just, for me, I have to quiet it. Uh, Meditation really helps. I know that's not a thing for a lot of people, but for me, that's worked. And the other thing is not looking over the fence, because for me, I see something else going one way, maybe with someone else's career or something in the industry, and I'm thinking, oh, I should have tried that, or I should have done that. And then I'm like, nope, don't look over the fence. The grass is not always greener. So if I can maintain not looking over the fence, then the self-doubt actually doesn't come in as much, but it is a daily practice for me.
That's a good one. Don't look over the fence. That's a good
Yeah.
one. And you use comedy to tell deeply personal stories. How do you decide what to protect and what to put on stage?
Yeah, someone else asked me this recently, and sounds nuts, but I don't filter it. And I think it's because I set it up years ago with my family being like, if we're saying it in the household and it works, it's going in the show. Like I just was always like giggling like that. And I will say I grew up in a household that was very open. We talked about our feelings. We didn't go to therapy. Italians have a thing with therapy. Oh, you don't need to go. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to go. But I do feel like it was a form of therapy to always talk about what's happening. There was no real secrets in our household. So if I was to say that story you told or that thing that happened to the family 3 years ago is going in the show, no one's like, how? No one knows about it. They're all like, well, we know, we know, we know. So I don't have that guilt at all from family. But I will say that I do believe the show for me is a form of therapy.
Yeah. Um, what part of your life do audiences laugh at the most, but don't realize took the longest to heal?
Oh gosh. So that's a great question. I love that. I think what people, when they sit and watch the show, I think what they come to realize is, oh my God, she's this quiet kid who was thrusted into a very loud family. And being a quiet Italian doesn't really work. And that sounds weird coming from me because you're like, oh, you perform, you're not quiet. But actually, all I'm doing is hiding behind these people. That's how I get through. And that felt like a safe space for me to hide behind these people. And then being a part of this very loud family, I always felt sort of out of step and like, sort of quiet. But there's a lot of comedy in that because you're like, this little innocent little kid is being exposed to conversations that should not be happening in front of a 6-year-old, but they were. And I think there's a lot of comedy in that, but there's a lot of like healing when it comes to that. I mean, I grew up with parents who over exaggerated everything I did. It was, everything was 911. Everything was so dramatic and the whole neighborhood had to know about it. And it's like, oh my God, mom, like I told you in confidence and now you just told the world. So there was a lot of that, which especially like coming into your womanhood at like 13, 14, I had a lot of drama with that. So that to me took the most healing. So I think the audiences find that the funniest, where I'm like, I'm still healing from that freaking traumatic mess when I was 14. But hey, mom decided to air out everything, or grandma made such a scene and it's so funny to everyone else. But yeah, so I would say there's a lot of that for me is always unfolding. I giggle at it now because I'm like, great, I'm so glad the audience is enjoying it, because that is the purpose. At the end of the day, I'm like, I'm putting myself up here to laugh at everything now. I've gotten over it, but it still hangs. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah. And it gave you stories for later on in life.
Oh, so much. I always joke that I'm like, if I need more material, I'll just go sit in my mother's kitchen. I'll get more.
Right. And success looks glamorous from the outside. What does success actually look like for you right now?
Oh, that's great. I had this conversation, a form of this conversation with my friend the other day where people were like, oh my God, this is like so exciting for you. I'm so glad your comedy special, your theatrical special is getting out there and people are going to know what you do. But it's taken you so long. Like I've gotten that a few times and I giggle because I don't take offense to it because I know it's taking me 10 years, 8 years, whatever it was, right? But the thing is, real success, I would hope, isn't overnight. There are things that are overnight successes that we say, oh, it's an overnight success. But when you dig into that person or that event or whatever, you realize they've been working for years. You just didn't know it. And now you know, and you think they're an overnight success. So I kind of think that's a myth, the overnight success. I think everyone's sort of working behind the scenes all the time, all day. You just don't see it. I'm also not constantly on social media telling everyone how much I'm working or what I'm doing every day, which I think social media is great. But I also think there's a level that I just didn't dig in that way. Yeah, I put funny videos out and I love communicating with people. I'm also a fertility advocate and women's health advocate. So I love to share information and I'm all for social media in that way. But not every day am I posting, okay, look how many emails I'm sending out. Look how many theaters are reaching out to me and my husband, and I run a production company. And so, oh my God, we have to filter through these contracts. And okay, we have nothing going on for the next 3 months. What happened? All the deals fell through and we have to go back. And, you don't see that, or the cold calling that we've done over the years, because a lot of my show is, I say, homegrown fans. And what I mean by that is like I'll go into a city and I'll perform and people say, oh my God, how did you sell 1,000 seats? How did you do that? And I'm like, well, it's not all just like social media for me or ads or that. It's a lot of it is going to the local delis and restaurants, talking to the owners. They put up a flyer. I literally then live in the city for the week that I'm there and I'm buying the bagels and I become like, to me, I become a part of the world. So I do think that's a lot of work that at the end of the day is the work you don't see. But I also think success for a lot of people, and it's me included, success feels, and it's hard to say you're successful because it's like, who knows? I don't know what success means. But to me, success has always meant waking up in the morning, being grateful that I'm able to do what I love, have a healthy breakfast, have a good cup of coffee. It's like a good day. Like I'm not
Yeah.
stressed about like, is the roof over my head going to cave in today? Like that to me is not success. So to me, success is having a healthy day. Your loved ones are around you. You're able to whatever it is, get on stage, tell a few jokes, or go to a set, do an acting, piece, whatever it is, go on Broadway, whatever it is for you. All those scenarios are all dreams of mine, and things that I've done where I'm like, yeah, that's success. You're doing the thing you get that you love, and you get to do it, and you get to make some money. That's a big gift for sure.
Right on with that one. Was there a moment when you realized I'm not chasing this anymore? I am doing this. I am this.
Oh gosh. I don't think I'm there yet. I know that's crazy. I think it's because I grew up with my father's mentality was you never stop. So you're always going. You're like you the second you're like he never sat down. He owned several auto body shops when I was growing up, and he was always like, on to the next thing, or now I'm going to do a car wash. Now it was whatever version in the car world that he could do, he did because he never stopped. And even when he retired, he was like, what do I do? What do I do? He didn't understand. And I'm like, he just retired and he didn't understand how to retire. So I don't think I'm there yet. I do think I have a level of this is what I do and I do it really well. And I own it when I am up there. The self-doubt comes in when I leave the stage and I'm home and things are happening or things are not happening. The phone's ringing, then the phone's not ringing. And it's like, what? The emails didn't come in, or with a contract or didn't go, or whatever it is, or those moments happen. But I do think I've owned this space where I'm like, okay, I'm one of the few that are storytelling in a theater setting with music and characters and bridging the gap of stand up and theater. Yeah, I'll own that. But stopping or calming down, no, no, no. I don't think I could take my foot off the gas just yet. Not for a while.
Just getting started.
Just getting started, as they say.
Right. How has becoming a writer and a creator, not just a performer, changed the way you see your own voice?
I never thought I'd be a writer. When I was in school, I wrote short stories and was able to tell stories so well, but I never connected that was a form of writing. I just didn't. I was just doing it for fun, and friends would be like, "Come on, tell it. Candice tells it the best," and then I would write the story down or whatever. And I had journals, and writing and all that stuff has changed me so much because you don't realize how powerful your voice is until you've written something, even if it's a two-line joke, whatever it is, and then you shared it with a ton of people, and those people have an emotion attached to what you just said. That in itself is priceless. I can't put a price on it because it is so exciting. It's very addicting. I think that's the other thing I should say is like performing for me has been very addicting. Maybe it's good. I don't go and eat all the cheese that I want to eat. I'll just perform because if I could, I would just eat cheese all day. But I do think that there is a level of excitement to writing something and then moving, emotionally for the people with what you just said. That to me is huge. And when people hear what you just said and are affected by it, there's nothing more powerful. So writing has affected me in so many ways that I didn't think, especially it sounds really funny too. When it's someone's birthday, I never used to write in a birthday card. I used to just be like, hey, love Candace, happy birthday. And now I'm like writing dissertations in someone's birthday or Christmas or Valentine's Day card. I'm like, what is up with me? It's like, because you don't realize how important words are. And now I keep cards from people when they write to me. So it's like all these little things that have connected over the years. But writing is so powerful that I would just encourage anyone who wants to write, just write. Don't second guess it, just write.
You being in the industry, doing comedy is not easy. What truth did you have to accept about yourself in order to level up in the industry?
Oh, wow. Comedy's not easy. I actually think comedy has gotten more narrow as the years have went on because all of a sudden we can't say certain things, which I think there are some things we shouldn't say, but I do think a lot of trauma and drama in our lives are funny when you take a step back and then analyze it. So for me, I was always like, comedy is my therapy. It's my way out. It's how I deal with things. So being in the industry, you have to come to terms with the fact that you're going to get people that don't like what you have to say. I've gotten people who have like reviewed the show and been like, reviewed me and been like, she's not funny, or I didn't get it, or whatever it is, whatever they want to say. And then, of course, my mother wants to be like, let me see you get up there and do it. Like, that's the first thing my mother wants to say. Because she's always like, let them try. I'm like, no, no, don't feed into it, Ma. I tell her, don't worry about it. But you do get that. And I think, but you're going to get that no matter what you do in any industry, you're going to get pushback, right? But in comedy in particular, getting up there, you know, I am wrapped in a little blanket of personal stories. So because they're so personal, when someone judges it, I'm like, you can't judge my story. It's mine. So I'm a little on, I'm a little in a safety net that I created. I did that on purpose because I was like, oh, great. I can rank and like, torture the shit out of these stories because they're mine. And I'm not saying it about someone else. So I do sort of the self-deprecation comes in handy. So I do have a protective blanket. But I do think if you're in the industry, as you probably know in any industry, but especially in storytelling, even podcasting, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get someone being like, I don't think that's good. Like you're always gonna get someone. So you do have to just get a little tougher in the skin. And if you know that that is going to happen, when it does happen, you're not shocked and you move on. You don't even give it energy. You just move on, keep going. Your train keeps moving. That's what my dad used to say to me. Remember, your train keeps moving. People will jump on and off over the years. As long as your train keeps moving, the people who are supposed to climb with you will. And that's what I keep telling myself.
That's a good one. You got to make that safety net too.
Right? The visual of the blanket of the safety net and the visual of the train keep moving is where I try to put myself.
Right. And you know, when life gets heavy for you, how do you stay grounded?
I don't always, I'll be honest, I don't always. But life gets heavy. Life's heavy right now, right? Family and our parents are getting older and things are happening in the world and life's just heavy. My biggest way to stay grounded, hug someone you love. I'm a big hugger. I take in a hug. I have to breathe someone in. I have a 1-year-old son and I just hugged the crap out of this kid. He's gonna be like so scarred from all the hugs. I'm like, just give me another hug. And I just want to like just breathe him in for a minute and really know what I'm getting stressed about because there are times that I will be so like life is so heavy. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what's in my control? I have to sort of talk myself off the ledge of anxiety and all these things. So for me, it's just grounding my feet in family, not 1,000 family members, because I do got a lot of family members. Like, not everybody, not everyone is your grounded stone. You know what I mean? Your home base. Find those 1 or 2 people that are your home base. My husband is really, really great at being a grounded human. So I'll just latch onto him and be like, ground me. He'll say to me, go take a beat, go take a minute, and he's right. Like, we all deserve that minute to just breathe it out and figure out what am I really getting crazy about or what am I really getting upset about right now. Some things are just out of our control and we have to accept that, which is hard. It's hard for me, but there are other things that are in our control. What I eat in a day, how I treat myself, that's in my control. And sometimes I forget that. So I'm not always great at it, but I'm getting better.
Right. And when your special comes out, on Prime Apple TV, when people are watching it, if someone feels stuck in their own life, what do you hope they walk away believing after watching your special?
Oh, I hope they believe. If first of all, if they're a performer, I hope they believe they can do anything because this special came out of me writing uh, the first story on a piece of paper in my New York City apartment that was 250 square feet. It was the smallest apartment ever. I couldn't pay my rent. It was, oh God, there were rats in the downstairs laundries, like of the building, the one you could do your laundry with a non-working machine. Like it was the worst moment of my life where I was like, what am I doing? And I just got fired from my waitress job. It was just, and I wrote the first story on a piece of paper that was attached to the back of a binder that I just had a piece of paper. I was like, oh, this is a funny story. And I just wrote it. So anyone watching it that is or wants to be a performer, you could do it. Trust me, it will happen for you. You can do anything. someone who's watching it that isn't a performer that just needs to be uplifted or maybe just has a moment of like, what am I doing with my life? I always say the special does this one thing, which is it reminds us that real humans and real human connection and the journey of growing up, because we're still growing up, no matter what age we are, we're always growing, we're always growing. That journey is hard, but it's filled with so much reward if you can laugh, if you can find the comedy in the drama, and you do that with me, you do. And if you can see that in my family, it's happening in yours. If you can see it in my me up there, it's happening within yourself. Like we all are going through something, but if you could just sit and the smallest little things will make you happy, and that will take you to the next step, whatever that next step is, but it'll get you to the next step. You won't just fall down. And that's a big part of what, Italian bread is super funny, but it's also emotional, and it's also a journey of what it's like to get to the next point in your dotted line of life, right? Everything's a dotted line. What's next? What's next? What's next? And the people that get you there and how they shape you. That's a big part of it too. I have a lot of my grandmother's traits that I never thought I would, that I'm like, oh my God, grandma, you did that. Now I'm doing that. And I think there's beauty in that, even if it's a crazy trait, right? So I would hope someone watching would feel totally related in some way and feel that tomorrow's a good day.
Right. And what lesson comedy taught you that no mentor or class can teach you?
I'm going to say grit. Yeah, a lot of grit. You, as a person, when you're in this entertainment industry of loveliness and craziness, you're getting up on a stage, you're pitching a TV show, whatever you're doing, you're writing a script, you're getting up on a Broadway stage and performing 8 shows a week, whatever you're doing, there is something about that person that had to struggle to get there. 90% of the time, you didn't just wake up overnight and fall onto these things. You had to bump your head, fall a few thousand times, feel like an idiot, all these things. So it really prepares you for the outside life, which outside of entertainment, it's hard. You got to pay bills. You got to figure out how to create a home life. You're going to bump your head. You're going to fall a lot. You're not going to feel like you know what you're doing. And that is a lot of the entertainment industry. You don't feel like you know what you're doing half the time. You're like, did that just happen? Is that even right? Is that supposed to? There's no rule book. I always say, like, I should have been a doctor. Not that I could be a doctor. I didn't have the grades, but like I should have been something where it's like, hey, you go to this school, you get this degree, and this happens. And that's not anything of what I chose. And that is not anything of life, because if that was the case, we all would just be following the thing, and then we just do the thing, and then we have the career. And that's just not how this industry is based and how it works. But anyone in the industry who's made a splash in some way, I feel in my heart truly has grit, and they're built differently. The littlest
Yeah.
no, the littlest, comment doesn't throw them. They're like, okay, move on.
Right. And how do you measure growth when the industry doesn't always give you clear feedback or validation?
Yeah, I think that's an internal thing. I agree. You're not going to get a lot of validation all the time. And also, too, one minute the industry is imploding and the next minute it's great. And you're like, what is happening? Oh my God. So if you're looking for validation through the industry, oh, that's a tough road. I think you have to find validation within yourself, your partner, your family, whatever's around you. It's taken me years. I'm still not even there. Like every now and then my husband be like, you need to validate yourself and feel like I did this. I'm like, yeah, you're right. He's like, pat yourself on the back. So I do think as artists, we have to do it for ourselves, which is, I didn't grow up like that. Like my dad was never like, pat yourself on the back. My dad was like, great, good job, get out there, do it again and go and go. And so you never had like the moment to sit with yourself. But I do think in this industry, you're not going to get a lot of validation all the time. So you do have to find it within yourself.
Good. That's a good one. I got a couple more. Uh, what did you stop doing that made the biggest difference in your career?
I stopped trying to fit a mold because I grew up in theater. I would audition for Broadway shows. There's still, somewhere in my career, maybe later in life, that I'll go back to Broadway. I don't know. But when I was younger, I was trying to fit a mold. And that actually, I think, set me back in some way. I mean, it taught me a ton. I don't regret any of it, but trying to fit a costume, a look, a height, that things were totally out of my control, or a vocal sound or a personality trait that was working well at the time for a Broadway show or a specific type on TV. That was my biggest thing that I realized. The fitting the mold doesn't work for me.
It's got to be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Um, if you could sit across from the version of Candice who was just starting out, what would you tell her to let go of? The first thing that comes to mind.
Oh gosh, that's an emotional one, right? I think the first thing I would tell her would be let go of her insecurity. I was very insecure for many years. So I would I would want to give young Candace a dose of more confidence.
Confidence is so important.
Because it could ride you to the next thing and then something else will take over. But sometimes I didn't get to the next thing because I was so insecure. And so, yeah, I'd want that for most kids or most, early 20s and late teens when you're like questioning everything. I would want more confidence.
Right. Speaking of confidence, a little while ago you said when people say, oh, I seen you doing this and that, good job, and then they hit you with but it's taking so long.
Hmm.
How did you feel once they said that?
I had a moment, I think I said this to a friend of mine or maybe my husband. I was like, damn, it did take a while. That sucks. Because when you're in it and you're working, like I'm performing, I'm working, things are great. I wasn't connecting the dots that the rest of the people who may have known me 15 years ago was like, oh, what happened to that girl? Whatever it was. I didn't connect that I wasn't working. So, or it was, and then all of a sudden I had a moment where I was like, oh, wow, yeah, it's been 8 something years. Okay. So yeah, it took me longer than the average person, but there's something for me, or what is the average, by the way? I mean, there isn't one because who does this crazy career in this thing? And, there's no judgment, but there's also no rule book. So in this crazy industry, you do have to be like, there's no rule book. I mean, you know, the most talented people don't always shine. The most connected people don't always make the best, movies and things. Sometimes these things don't happen and sometimes they do. And, then there's that beautiful story of comedian Leanne Morgan. She's 60 and she's popping at 60. So I'm like, God bless. I love that story because, that I don't think we see enough of that. Um, uh, and so, yeah, I did have a moment of like, oh, this sucks that people are saying that. And then I had a moment where I was really proud because I'm like, you know what? Fuck yeah. Sorry, I said fuck. I don't know if we can say that on this podcast.
Yeah.
You can bleep that out. Um, but I had a moment where I was like, damn, Candice, be proud. You didn't just roll up on stage. You worked it. You worked your material. You sort of bulletproofed it, or in a way where you were like, all right, if that's not funny, I know this is. If that's not going to sound good, I know this does. Like you bulletproofed your content and your work and what you've written. So I'm proud of it, but there was a quick moment of, oh, that sucks to hear. Of course.
That's a goal. Once again, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
I got one more for you.
Yeah.
Your big special's coming out as it launches January 27th on Prime and Apple TV. What does this moment mean to you personally, not professionally?
Oh, I'm an emotional person because let's just call it what it is. I grew up in that sort of household where emotions were always high. But when I finally heard that the special was going to air and was going to be and live somewhere forever, I took the biggest breath and I was like, okay, I did the thing. And my husband said to me, how do you feel? I was like, I don't know. Because I felt 1,000 emotions. I was like teary-eyed and then I was like super happy. And then I was like, oh crap, what now? You know, like you just have always that what now because you're just the next thing, the next thing. And I was like, okay, I got to write the next show. And he's like, can you just sit and breathe for a minute and be happy? I'm like, yeah, yeah. Well, let's do that. Let's do that. You know, I called a bunch of friends and we were excited and it was like, oh, thank God. You know, my mother was like, finally, like even my own mother was like, finally, the world will know, you know, it's very mom of her. But a bunch of emotions. The biggest emotion to me that came forward was just, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that it's going to live somewhere. So thank you to everyone who was involved at the special because especially Comedy Dynamics for saying yes and being like, yeah, we see that there's value here. No one in this world, all we want is for someone to see us and appreciate us. And I was like, hell yeah, someone recognizes that there's value here. And there's nothing more exciting than that. So that to me, it's grateful. I was so grateful.
Nice, big things. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Maybe we could do a part 2 soon.
Oh my God, I would love that. I would love that. And everyone watch the special.
One more time, where's the special at?
Yes. So it's Candice Guardino, Italian Bread, January 27th on Amazon and Apple TV. Or I should say Prime. Prime.
All right. Once again, appreciate it. Talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Peace. Take care.
Bye.